The deadly new virus spreading around the world. The Wall Street Journal reporting that the U.S. government is arranging a charter flight to evacuate U.S. citizens and diplomats from the city of Wuhan, ground zero for this outbreak. The coronavirus spreading with confirmed cases across Asia, in the U.S., and now in Europe and Australia. ABC senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in Hong Kong with the latest. Ian, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Eva. That's right. We're getting news partly from the Wall Street Journal, but we also heard from the State Department on Friday that the Consul General in Wuhan, remember there is a U.S. consulate there, had said that families, personnel, non-emergency personnel should leave the city, also urging all Americans to leave Wuhan. Now, we know that the airport is closed, so of course it makes sense that the U.S. government is chartering a plane. We understand from that Wall Street Journal report that there are something like 1,000 U.S. citizens at the U.S. consulate there making efforts to try and contact them. Of course, not everyone will necessarily want to leave because they'll have family there, but that's the situation there as we report from Hong Kong, a city that's just declared a virus emergency, with all schools now staying closed until mid-February as the crisis escalates across this region and around the world.
This morning, the numbers infected with a potentially deadly coronavirus soaring. There are now more than 1,300 cases in China alone, with patients now in every part of the world's most populated country, bar Tibet. And this is the scene in the epicenter of the outbreak. A seemingly impossible task as dozens of excavators worked through the night to build a brand new 1,000-bed hospital in just 10 days. Now, a second 1,300-bed facility has also been announced. The space is desperately needed, as are more medics, with more now being flown in to help with the rapidly growing crisis. There are now 35 cases outside China in 13 countries or territories. Today, Australia and Malaysia joined this growing list. And now, with 2 confirmed cases in the US, health officials saying they expect more Americans will be diagnosed with this potentially deadly virus in the coming days. The latest confirmed case is a woman in her 60s from Chicago. She returned from China last week and fell sick 3 days later. The CDC are now testing 63 patients from 22 states.
Our focus right now is on travelers returning from Wuhan, but the situation is changing rapidly, and we're continuing to assess, and we'll make new guidance if needed.
Meanwhile, officials in China now confirming the youngest known case so far. This is a 2-year-old girl suffering from the coronavirus, rushed to hospital. Now, she's said to be in a stable condition, but with most cases in older patients so far, this is a potentially worrying development as this crisis just seems to escalate. Whit?
No question about that. Ian Pannell for us, thank you so much. We do want to bring in our ABC News chief medical correspondent, Dr. Jennifer Ashton, with more on all of this. Thank you for being with us on this. The images we're seeing out of China are very alarming, obviously, but walk us through this type of response to an outbreak like this.
That's really important, Whit, because we're talking about basic infection control and how disease detectives deal with epidemics. It starts with surveillance, and that's to really track down the geographic spread and the time spread, which can tell us about the incubation period. Then you move on to controlling the virus, the source, which sometimes will include isolation or quarantine, and then education, really important, not just for the public, but for the healthcare professionals and public health officials dealing with this.
And you spent some time just yesterday in a New York City hospital. Yeah. What did you learn about how they're preparing? We
were at New York City Health and Hospital's Bellevue here. It was very clear they are completely prepared, as are really every hospital in the country, really. They practice drills. They go through this on a regular basis, not just for something like coronavirus, but for any pathogen or infectious disease.
Quickly, give us some perspective on this as people are taking in this information, because we're talking about what's happening in China, here in the U.S., but still thousands of people have died in the U.S. from the flu.
Exactly. That's a key perspective, and so is history. So again, it's evolving, it's dynamic. We are learning as we go. The CDC flu estimates just out yesterday, an estimated 15 million flu cases and 8,200 deaths. People should be more concerned right now with the flu in this country.
Absolutely, but we're still watching it, this developing story. Yep. Jennifer Ashton, thank you so much. We appreciate it.